algorithms that you can use to solve the Rubik's Cube. And I thought I'd show you how I solve the Rubik's Cube, which I think is the way that a lot of people solve it. So, first thing we gotta do is scramble up the cube. This will be a pretty quick tutorial. I'll move pretty fast, but I'll try to explain as I go. So, let's mix up the cube. Cube here. Looks a little intimidating, but the first thing we gotta do is pick a side that we want to start with. I always like to start with the side that has the logo on it, if there is a logo on the cube. But most of them, I'd say do, and in this case, it's gonna be the white side. So the first step into solving this is that we want to get the white pieces in this cross formation here. And we want to get these white pieces and their corresponding sides to match up with these center pieces on the opposite sides like this. So there's not any easy ones to start with, so I guess we'll just start with this one here. We got white and orange, and the orange side is over here. So all we can do is move that over. Move it so that's in the right position, and then turn that. So now we have white, white, orange, orange. So now there's one right here with red. It needs to be on this side. So we can do the same thing. Move it so the reds are together, then move it up to white. So now we have all of these in the right place. But we got two more here. We got the green and white, which needs to be on the opposite side. So in this case, we'll move it all the way down. In some instances, you'll need to destroy some of these sides quickly. But that's okay, because now that these are together, we can just move this side back to where it was. There's a handful of algorithms that you can use that, in repeating, they'll always come back to their original space, because mathematically they have to. And the last side piece is right here, white and blue. So we need to get this up here, which is going to displace the red, but that's okay, because we can keep track of it right here. Just move the whites and blues over here, and then take the reds, and just put those right back there. So now we have our white cross here, with all the corresponding sides. So the next thing that we need to do here is we need to get these cornered pieces, and they have to be the same colors as these sides as well. So luckily for us, the Rubik's Cube has given one of these that's already in its position that it needs to be. So we can find other pieces here. In this case, we have this piece that needs to go over here. So first we can move that out of the way, bring that back up. So now that this piece is here, and it's on the right side, we can move this down, and then move this right there, and then move it back up so it's in the right position. But sometimes it's not as easy, but sometimes it's a little too easy, like this one here, with blue, orange, and white, which needs to be right here. So we can just flip that down, flip it back up, now it's in the right spot. So now, last but not least, we have one here, and in the event that it's on this side, you can always just do it the opposite way and move it up. But since this is over here, just move it like that, and you can move this whole formation of moving down to the side, up, and back. If you do that enough times, it will always come back to its original position, and it'll always alternate these three colors. So if I do that more times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it always comes back to its original position. So that way, you can get this to be in the right spot, no matter what side the white is on the bottom space, as long as you do it an even number of 4 times every time. So, now that corresponding colors that go in these spaces in between the centers. So, in one case, we have this side, which is in the right space, but just not in the right formation. So, we'll come back to this, because eventually we'll have to move it, but maybe we can work it out, and it'll pop itself out of its place. So in this case, we do have the blue and the red that isn't in that spot, so we can take this, push it back, and then move this out, and then push it back in. So we'll take that. Now we have this. We'll push it over there, and push it in, right, just like that. So now we have another one in the same position, blue and orange. It needs to go right there, so we'll do the same thing. Move it down. Now move it to the side, so that these colors are all aligned, and then push it down, and that's in the right spot. So, got one more conveniently in this position. And now it's in the wrong spot, so we need to do the same thing that we're going to do with this side. So we're going to act as if one of these is in the position, is the piece that needs to be in this position. So let's try the opposite side just to show you that it's actually the same thing, but just in the opposite direction. Alright. So now the red piece is out of there. So now we can take this, push it back, move this out, and push it back in. Like this. So now that's in the right spot. So this is the last one. We're just going to do the same thing. Act as if one of these is the piece that we want to move. So we move that out of the way. So now this is over here. So we can take this and move it into the right spot. So now we have all of these colors in the right position. So now the next thing we gotta do is find the cross on the opposite side from where we started. In this case, it's yellow. So when you get to this point, you can have 4 different formations for yellow. You can have one like this, where you just have 3 yellows already there. You can have a line of yellows. You could get lucky and just already have the cross of yellows. Or you can get unlucky and just have the one yellow and all these others are in different spots. So, in this case, we're going to do that same algorithm. And just move it like that. And now we have the line, so we're going to do the exact same thing. It should be 6 turns in total. So now we have the cross. So now we're going to move it so we have some colors in the right spots. In this case, we have blue and orange that are in the right spots, but these 2 that aren't in the right spots. So what we have to do is we have to move one of these out of the way, then move this other one forward, and then put this one so that they're in the opposite direction if we were to spin the cube. So we can think of it as if like putting the 2 colors that we have on these sides so they don't get moved. And then we're going to move these 2 kind of as a marker up to the side, and then down, and to the side, then up, and then bring us back home. So now we have all these colors in the right position. It's fun to use these 2 kind of as a cue. When they make their way around the cube, when they get over here, you just move it twice and then move it back into position. That part can be kind of tricky sometimes. It can be a little frustrating. But now that we have all these other pieces, we can continue to solve the cube, and as you can see, we're almost complete here. So the next step is obviously to get these 4 in the right place. But right now, none of these are even in the right position, let alone the right formation. But that's okay. So what we want to do is we want to move this up, or move this up, then move that there, and then do the same on this side, then move it back down, and then move that back down. And in doing that, these other three will all move formations, but the one that's right here will stay in its place. So now we have one that's already in its right place. So we'll just do the exact same thing over here. Make sure that middle piece stays in the same spot. Just up side, left side, down side, right side. So now we have two that are in the right position here. So we got pretty lucky with that. So now we only have two more to go. And this is where the repeating algorithm really comes into place, because we need to solve both of these without messing up the rest of the cube. So if we take this and do that 4-turn algorithm again, it'll eventually come into its right spot, but the rest of the cube won't. But you have to make sure you do it 4 rotations every time, and then you can just move this side over here and do the same thing, and it'll eventually solve itself. So let's give that a whirl here. We're gonna move this down. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it's in the right spot. So now I'll move this to the side, and we'll do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have it. There's the solved Rubik's Cube right there. Just in time for one of my neighbors outside to start mowing their lawn. That's okay, it's not too loud. Hope that doesn't bother you. But anyway, it's a nice looking cube, all back in its place. Usually when I solve the Rubik's Cube, just as a little extra trick here, a couple tricks you can do. We're going to move these sides 180 degrees. Do it on every third side. So now we have the checkered cube here. It's a fun little party trick, as if solving the Rubik's Cube wasn't already a party trick in its own. And you can, do the same thing to get it back in the position that it originally was here. And then there's one more thing that you can do. You can move it 90 degrees, just these two sides, and then move those two sides up so that you have this just circle formation here. And then do the same with the other side. And this is called the flower pattern. Both of those little tricks are pretty easy to do, much easier than solving the Rubik's Cube itself. Just be sure that you know how to get it back if you know how to get it there. So, move those, put these blues back in order, and then we'll need to put these reds back in order, like that. It doesn't have to be any specific color or side, they all do the same thing. So there we have it. Solved Rubik's Cube. I think as a little added bonus here, I'm going to see how quickly I can solve this Rubik's Cube. I'll try not to go so fast that it makes a lot of noise, but in the past, I have been able to solve a Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes. I think if I go fast here, I can probably do it in 2 or 3 minutes. But let's see what I can do.